If you recall nothing or take nothing or use nothing from the whole of this title, then this bit you will use for the rest of your Excel careers. It's the quickest way to create a chart in Excel. Let's take our sales data 2013 file. Now we can pick on any one of the months, it doesn't matter. Let's pick on May, for example. And if I would like a quick chart based on this May data, all I simply need to do is effectively place my cursor anywhere in the data. I don't need to be at the beginning, I don't need to be at the end, I don't need to be in the middle, I can be anywhere. And then I need to execute the keyboard shortcut F11. And hey presto, a default chart appears in a new tab. So you can see here it says chart 2. So I was in May and I've now got a chart to the left of it based on all the data in May. So we can see car sold, plane sold, bike sold, helicopter sold, all the way through to total sold. Now it uses the default chart type, which if you haven't played with any of the settings is the column chart in Excel. But if you've changed your default chart type, you will have a different chart that appears when you do F11. There is one slight drawback to it, and that it's graphed everything that was in that data set. So it's done the total sold, which then effectively makes each of the separate items quite small. If instead we highlighted what we wanted to be graphed, so that's not the totals, just the region names, the item names, and then the numbers, and then do my F11, then we get a much more presentable chart. It's still using the same default chart. It still creates a new tab, now called chart 3, but it's only charting the items we had highlighted. So I've got a separate column for each of the regions, north, south, east, and west, and then a separate little area on the chart for each of my items that I've been selling. Now, obviously, the orange bar is quite big in each of these, but the car sold is quite a small orange bar. As you hover over any of the columns, it tells you which bit you've got. So we're using the south as the series, the point is the bike sold, and the value to get that height is 1, 2, 3, 4. Once you have a chart, the chart tools ribbons appear. So we have chart tools design and format, and we could even do a quick switch here, switch row and column, so that each of the bars is now the items and the little area on the chart is each of the regions. Depending on what you're trying to compare, that can be a quick way of just swapping the chart around. And we see that the south region has really sold a lot more caravans. Or we switch it back over and we're then comparing the items, so then we can compare regions of items. South have done better with caravans. Switched over, you then look at the south overall, and the caravans being the highest still stands true. So that's a quick switch using the switch row and column, but the quickest shortcut here is that F11. If you're happy that all the data gets mapped, don't highlight anything, just click in F11, you'll get your chart. If you don't want the total as we didn't, then you would need to highlight before you did your F11. Now what would be really great is if you could multiple select, as we've seen already how to do, highlight the data, and then use our keyboard shortcut. However, what you'll find is you cannot. A new chart cannot be created with multiple sheets are selected. A chart must be created for each sheet separately. Perhaps that would be an improvement for future versions of Excel. So each of these sheets then has to have its own chart created. But what we could do, and we have done, is select them all and highlight so that when I go back in, they're already highlighted. And then I just need to do a quick F11 to get my chart. You'll also find with an area selected, you'll get a little pop out here from which you can choose charts, and then we get a choice of quick charts. Now these quick charts are created as objects in the same sheet. They can be deleted if you don't want them. Click charts, and then if you hover over each of the types, so you then get choice of the 4 main recommended types: stacked bar, clustered column, or a stacked column. And the stacked column does look quite nice because it's one column for each of the items, and then the color blocks within it are each of the regions. So I could use a stacked column and then switch the rows and columns, so each column then becomes a region with each of the color blocks representing sales of each item. So there are lots of choices and lots of very quick choices. Just remember the F11 for a quick graph. Even if you don't remember the F11, just delete that. You can highlight and use the recommended pop out, so that's charts, and choose one of the recommended options. And then once you have a graph, we can switch the row and column data very quickly to see if that effectively presents the information in a better light. Do not forget F11.